Well, you probably know Thanksgiving is Thursday. We don't have to tell you that, especially if you're hosting. But we're also in the middle of National Diabetes Month.
Right, so if any of you are wondering how you can prepare meals to account for guests with diabetes, our 9 News medical expert, Dr. Coley, is in with some ideas to help out. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning.
So how should someone ask their guests about medical issues when preparing the Thanksgiving dinner?
Well, if you look at the prevalence of diabetes, 38% of Americans are pre-diabetic.
Wow.
Another 11% have type 2 diabetes. So there's a 50% chance that one of your guests is going to have prediabetes or diabetes. On top of that, you add on high blood pressure, high cholesterol, gluten intolerance, food allergies. So what I like to do, and my mom is hosting this year, so I made her do this, is ask all our guests any restrictions on what you eat, any dietary preferences, any allergies, any other conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or diabetes, or prediabetes that we have to be aware of. Or if you don't want to actually ask them about the condition, you can just say, are you limiting sugar, or are you limiting fat, or are you limiting carbs, anything like that, because I think it really opens the door for that conversation.
Let's dive into that a little bit more. If you are expecting people at your dinner with pre-diabetes or diabetes, is there anything on your menu you should think about limiting?
Yes, so you have to be very thoughtful about it. So I would say 3 things. First is the glycemic index. That means certain foods raise our blood sugar very quickly, and other foods raise it sort of slowly over time. So a low glycemic index in foods like quinoa, barley, berries, spinach, these are great foods because they don't spike your blood sugar right after you eat them. So make sure you enrich foods with low glycemic index. The second is the refined carbs and the desserts. I'm a dessert person. I love desserts. But if you've got somebody pre-diabetes there, try to limit the baked goods and pick different types of desserts instead. And pastas and breads, those rolls are yummy with our dinner, but try to pick whole wheat rolls rather than white bread rolls because they're going to spike your blood sugar more quickly. And then finally, some portion sizes. So I actually helped my mom set the table, and I told her to pick smaller plates. Because we have psychologically a tendency to tend to fill up our plate when we're reaching for food. So if you actually have a smaller plate, studies have shown that you're likely to put less food on it.
So my candied yams that have brown sugar, maple syrup, and butter.
I was like, I'm not a great example. I usually have a mountain on my plate. I'll try to limit that this year.
Yes. Everyone says, if you start with the smaller plate, that's fine. You can always go back for seconds. But if you do start with the smaller plate, you might fill up faster and not need the second plate.
And then eat slower too. So here's the other thing. There's about a 20-minute delay between our satiety signal and when we eat. So if we eat till we're full, then automatically we've overeaten. So what I like to do is eat till I'm about 80% full, then wait for like a half an hour, banter, have a glass of wine, do something else, and then see if you're still full for your seconds.
That's a great idea. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm ruminating over here trying to register all of this. What are some ideas? You said you're a dessert person. What are ideas for desserts and drinks for your diabetic guests?
So what I really love is try to maybe use Greek yogurt with berries. So that's a good idea. Try to slice up some apples and bake them and put cinnamon and nuts on them. These are desserts that are generally better in terms of their sugar index for diabetics. And for drinks, I would say you have to be really careful because a lot of alcoholic, even non-alcoholic drinks, that sugar can really add up. So sparkling sodas are a good idea without sugar. Sparkling water is kind of my favorite. But even an herbal iced tea or an herbal homemade lemonade without too much sugar in it, these are all good options for diabetic.
All right. Anything else that hosts should be mindful of when they're preparing the meal?
Well, we were just talking before we got started, but the timing is really important. So for diabetics especially, they try not to eat too close to bedtime because the timing of their blood sugar spikes can also affect their risk as well. You want to try to create it as stress-free as possible. I know it's stressful to host, but stress can raise your blood sugar. So even as a host, if you're stressing out about the meal or what have you, that's not a good idea. And then finally, I saw these fun little cards at the store where you can actually write in little things about the dish, like gluten-free or nut-free or low carb. Label the dishes with little tips, nutritional tips, so that people can kind of be more likely to pick those foods.
And as stressful as that food can be, remember, it's about your loved ones, about time, that quality
together,
time.
right? Things that we're thankful for.
And we want to keep them healthy, all of our guests and our loved ones. So it's really important to talk about health with our food. So,
Dr. Coley, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And you can find all of Dr. Coley's appearances at 9news.com/Dr. Coley. Chris?